AMC just got a price target by Wedbush of $4 a share, up from $3 a share, and is currently up 10% on the day. And that is not the catalyst or the reason why the stock is pumping. It is because of swaps. It is because of cycles. It is because of delta hedging. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. GameStop is also popping up 3.5% today. This is the 5-minute time frame. You can see we got a nasty blip in the morning with a lot of volume coming in. We are also seeing call premium increase on GameStop as well. And just as I've been saying, continue to play the music as Japanese government bonds rise up another 1.7%. coming all the way up to 1.54%. Guys, this is just beginning, and this is an easy swing, in my opinion, over the weekend, holding into next week if you were to play any sort of options. Without further ado, I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Welcome to the channel. My name is Lottery Socks, or Cam, whatever you want to say in the comments down below. Welcome back to the channel. If you are not new here, guys, we are very close to 35,000 subscribers, and I do believe we can get there if you guys just press that button. It is completely free. Now, NEGG, N-E-G-G, Newegg Commerce is a stock that has a 372% short interest. This stock is currently up 40% on the day, but as you can see with this yellow arrow, this is when we first called this out in the Discord server, and I do have the receipts on this right here, June 5th, and we are talking about it in Discord. We come up with these plays all the time. People make money, and we have a receipt from today as well that I can show you. Discord paid for in 20 minutes after we got a call out once again on ticker symbol ANY. Guys, if you're not in the Discord server, it's the top link in the description of the video. Now, AMC, GameStop, what is going on? What are we looking at? Well, exactly like I said before, this is exactly where I thought we were, and today is just further confirmation that we are sitting somewhere right here in this cycle. I do want to tell you right now, I'm going to put this forward. This doesn't have to be exact. In fact, a lot of things are showing that this cycle, this time around, things are different, okay? I'm going to point out something from a macro perspective. Bitcoin is up 60% in 3 months, like the US dollar is broken. The US dollar is falling in its worst start to a year since 1973. Gold prices continue to rise towards $3,400 per ounce, like inflation is back. Yields are spiking, like deficit spending is worsening. Silver prices are rising, like uncertainty never ended. You guys need to see what is going on. There is a major capital shift, and retail can finally get ahead of it. But if you miss this one, if you miss this turnaround in the macroeconomic perspective, you might miss the train on potentially getting out of the poverty or lower or middle class state into the rich, wealthy state. Couple things I want to cover. AMC GameStop, yes, coming in the next week. Do we have a possibility at squeezing? I do believe we have a likely possibility at squeezing. Volumes coming in on AMC? No, it's not because of a raised price target. Volumes coming in on GameStop. That is because of the cycle period. And we can see that the last time the convertible bonds were done, they were dealt with, you had this chop trading zone before a climb higher. Very similar thing happening right here. In fact, very similar thing happening like we went into May of 2024, which would bring us into the SPY, which I want to talk about very briefly. I don't have the charts mapped out identically. One, we could be in a couple scenarios. Both scenarios point towards some sort of little correction on the SPY as well as a technical scenario. Now, if I was not looking at previous cycles, here's what I'd tell you. SPY is seeing a double top, which calls for possible downside off rip. Now going back into cycles, historical patterns, what we would see is, well, if GameStop and AMC are coming into May 2024, and this is May 2024, during that period where they ripped, calls for a little bit of a correction on the SPY and sort of this double top pattern, chop trading pattern, when we were getting held right around 530 before we sold all the way off to 517. A little bit of a correction there. Secondly, what are we looking at back here? Well, we called out how SPY is very similar to 2020, but you run up. This is also a double top right here around the same period back in January before they ran up higher. So both statistically speaking, the SPY should see some sort of correction if we are going to see AMC and GameStop swing up next week, as capital allocation has to basically get reallocated into certain assets, aka covering short positions or covering, delta hedging or whatever it may be, taking money out of big positions. Big players moving money out of large positions, dropping the SPY, all that other stuff, reallocating capital. Now, this was a 4.5% retracement. And that would essentially bring SPY down to what I have drawn out for you, which is 598. This blue dotted line, 598.60 is the price target I would watch out for SPY. Now, how long would that take? That would come down there by Wednesday of next week. Well, lottery stocks, what happens if the SPY decides that it wants to continue to climb over the weekend and gap higher and come into next week and the GameStop and AMC don't move? Well, they didn't move, right? But do you want to sit here and miss the opportunity? It's completely up to you. This is my outlook. It's my personal opinion. I also want to talk about some other plays that I dealt with in my portfolio. First, I want to state GNS is up another 4%. It's trading at $1.64. We are running out of steam, but we are rebuilding momentum. Is GNS over? Possibly. I would get out of GNS if it broke back below probably $1.40. Which I'm not in right now, but I just wanted to give some levels as to why this is possibly not over. It's at a 6% short interest, but that is just what is reported. GNS is in a naked short selling lawsuit against their company. However, they also have much more going on. They're seeking $1 billion in damages. They're possibly launching a special dividend, which is going to have various effects on the share count and if their lawsuit is actually accurate. They just did a share buyback as well, and they plan to buy Bitcoin. This one could just be beginning. I would be worried if I was a short seller in this and if I was naked short this stock. As many of you know, I believe if there's a dividend issued, you also have to pay it as a short seller. So shit is just not looking good for short sellers in GNS. And we got a golden cross on the daily time frame, which is something that you have to pay attention to as well. So is GNS over? Possibly, but likely not. I'd say it's about a 70-30 that GNS is not over. Okay, I also wanted to talk briefly on NVIDIA. It's at 166.50 right now, up another almost 2% on the day, broke above this macro ascending resistance level, which Bitcoin did as well. Now, how high could this level actually go? I actually didn't really talk about this here. This could actually just still get rejected like we saw this wick on November 21st. Right up at this level before we hit my price target of 172 in an extreme case scenario. At that point, if we got above 172 and continued to climb higher, there's just something happening behind the scenes. Right now, I think NVIDIA is holding up the market. It's holding a lot more weight than some other plays. It's holding a lot more weight than Apple will say, right? I wouldn't play NVIDIA, and I also wouldn't be able to tell you who's purchasing NVIDIA at $170. I don't know. Is it you? Let me know in the comments down below. Bitcoin's at an all-time high. It's at 117,000, almost 118,000. Very similar, just like back here during that same period, we rallied. If you look at May of 2024, same thing. You came to a high before selling off. Now, what's different this time around, and like I said, things are different this time around. SPY would technically be due for a pullback, but would Bitcoin be due for a pullback? This time, not necessarily. One, because you have a weakening dollar. Two, because you have gold increasing. You have all of these things happening that I talked about right here. We have the US in a debt spiral, we would say. And ultimately, what you're seeing is Bitcoin's likely to go higher as a safe haven asset. GameStop's holding Bitcoin. These companies are starting to buy Bitcoin and have bought Bitcoin, loaded up on Bitcoin. Institutions have bought Bitcoin. ETFs were launched. All this other stuff. Things are changing this cycle around. And we have probably one of the longer accumulation phases in the green bands on the Bitcoin power law corridor, which we saw back here, a very long one before a major rip higher. We saw a little bit of a shorter one right here. And then now we are seeing a very lengthy accumulation phase setting up for a possible super cycle in Bitcoin 200K plus. Okay, it's a possibility. We are not even entering the overbought range just yet on Bitcoin, in which case normally you'd see big money begin to sell in the top range up here, right? But right now they are still accumulating even at this 100K level. Okay, so that is something that I want to point out as well. Also, GameStop staplers at $217,000 for the bid. This shit is just insane, guys. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Past the Bitcoin. Moving on, altcoins. XRP is up about 14%. Now, Trump has passed something that involves XRP. It's a very small amount. I believe it was like 2% of XRP is being purchased in the total capital or something like that. While other things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other plays have bigger holdings. But the point being is XRP is coming for some of your favorite cryptos. Is this it's not a meme coin anymore. It's not even like, it is one of the altcoins alternative to Bitcoin, but at this point, you think of Bitcoin, you think of Ethereum, and then you think of probably XRP and Solana, right? Those are probably the two that are coming up, and XRP is coming for a lot of these cryptocurrencies. It's definitely one to watch for, because are you going to get XRP under $2 again, even if we go into a bear market? It's questionable. Keep this one on your radar. MicroStrategy is rising as well, as they hold tons and tons and tons of Bitcoin, which GameStop should get the same Bitcoin proxy. Obviously, they're trying to hold it down, but Bitcoin proxy, as in move with Bitcoin's price as we're at all-time highs. Keep in mind, right now, it's pretending it has zero effect, and we also don't know how much Bitcoin they bought. They told us initially in the 8K, but since then they could have bought more, coming up to be reported in their September earnings. I would not want to be short once they release that, okay? I'll just leave that hint out there. As far as the SPY goes, we talked about the SPY. Okay, let's talk about a couple other things. One, I'll just say I let go of UNH. UNH is underperforming. Do I think it's over? Not necessarily, but it's possible. I don't like the setup here. I don't think it's worth trying to time. And we got a death cross on the weekly time frame. We got a cross of the 200 and the 50 to the downside on the weekly time frame. It's just not something I want to deal with in my long term to risk when there are tons of better plays like SoFi. We called out SoFi way back. It's at 2160. Will SoFi stop? Guys, this is going to make you want to throw up. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to make you feel good. And the reason for that is because people have been scared to enter SoFi at high prices when just back in April, it was an $8 stock. You probably, it's scary. You might want to puke. But what I can tell you is that I still believe SoFi at this price will give a good return. I did not let go of SoFi. And I will add here, I'm not worried about that, but anything under 20 is also an easy add. I think we enter price discovery in 2026, which is above all-time highs, 2830. Same thing, AMD. Top two plays, not letting go of. And I'll give you another one that I'm possibly looking at. AMD as well. I think this has a lot more room to run. I think right now you might be saying, 145. It was just a $75 stock. Guys, again, once we get higher and above $200, above possibly $250 by the end of the year, you're going to be saying, damn, 145 was pretty cheap. Tesla is important, okay? We came and closed above 309. This was a major bullish engulfing candle right here. First, we broke down below the wedge. We chop traded. Then we got a nice gap up. Now, Tesla is in indecision zone again. If Tesla decides that it wants to close back above, I'd say 313 is the first level. But beyond that, 325, Tesla's back in bull territory. And we're going to continue to climb probably to 350, probably to higher highs. But the bias is bearish. There is a bearish bias here where I think Tesla has more of a likelihood to come down sub 250. But again, be careful with Tesla. I just wanted to point this out very briefly. Apple has been an underperformer. Underperformer is an underperformer. It's trading at 210.95. They don't, you're not getting a super fire sale on Apple, but you're also not getting great returns yet on Apple. Here's what I want to point out. Aside from all the noise and the restructuring Apple has to do, if we get an open at any point, an open, not a close, but an opening candle and a close, so a full daily candle above 216.50, I think Apple is a good entry point. I think once we break this ugly barrier that Apple is in, we could be in the beginning of a trend that is going to take you to all-time highs. So I just want you to be wary of that and watch that as you are part of the community. Guys, don't forget, we have crazy callouts in Discord server. We also, if you guys are worried about, maybe our callouts aren't good, or maybe you don't want to follow my positions or something along the lines of that, we have things that you would pay hundreds for. In fact, you are only paying $20 for a month, $19.99, which will be so minimal with the value you get out of it. There are no bad questions. You can learn how to trade. You can learn how to actually become financially free. We have breakout trade alerts, high success trade flow, option sweep alerts, insider trade alerts, dark pool activity, market news, analyst updates, basically. People posting their charts, people talking stocks, crypto, my positions, video links, requests if you want, all that other stuff, guys. If you're not in, it's the very top link in the description of the video. And if you go to the comment section, it will be pinned in the top of comments to join my Discord server, guys. Do not sleep on it. Let's get as many members from today's video in there as possible. And let's get as many subscribers from today's video as possible before we reach 3,000 uploads, which is just insane. That is it, guys. I love you all. God bless. Lottery Stocks out.